just in the state direct and guaranteed loan programs that we funded last year. Next page.
Untitled. Good morning. This is Brian Parrish joining the call. I hope everybody's having a good day.
Hi, Brian. This is Delegate Charles Newton. I think there's a few of us on the call. We're just waiting for a speaker to get on. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Untitled, thank you very much for being with us this morning. Just having an update with Vice Chair Smith on the veterans allocation of funds and what's going on there. So, excuse my tardiness. I just want to say good morning to everyone out there. Untitled. This is we are going to have a Naabik'íyáti Committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council work session. I did call it to order at 9:14 a.m. this morning. And we immediately went into recess at, the time was 9:15. Yeah, 9:15 a.m. Well, let's come out of recess. The time now is 11:03 a.m. Before I go into that, let me go ahead and call the date and time. And just for the record, again, this is the Naabik'íyáti Committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council, a work session via telecommunications. I'm here in Window Rock, Arizona on the Navajo Nation. I have my colleagues in the chambers with me as Honorable Wanika, Honorable Paul Begay, and Honorable Vice Chair Smith. I did have Honorable Mark Freeland in the house too as well earlier. With that, today's date is Thursday, April 8th, 2021. Again, coming out of recess at 11:03 a.m. There is a work session agenda present before us. Presiding is myself, Seth Damon, Speaker of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. We do have a work session called to order at, again, 9:14. We went into recess 9:15 and coming out of recess at 11:03 a.m. With that, let me go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Ivella to do a roll call, and then we'll go on down from there. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Delegate Key Allen's present. Thank you.
Excuse me. Honorable Elmer Begay did not answer roll call. And Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. answered roll call.
How are you doing? I'm trying to reconnect my headphones. Give me 1 second.
Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay is here present in the chamber. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not answer roll call. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Delegate Charles Newton is on the line. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton has answered roll call. Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati. Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati. Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati has not answered roll call. Honorable Speaker Seth Damon. Honorable Speaker Seth David has answered roll call. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. has not answered roll call. Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland has not answered roll call. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Hello, Mr. President. Thank you.
Honorable Pernell Halona has answered roll call. Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Jamie Henio has not answered roll call. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James has answered roll call, or has not answered roll call. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez is present.
Honorable Ricky Nez has answered roll call. Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Carl Slater has not answered roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. has answered roll call and is present in the chamber. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Present.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. has answered roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So has not answered roll call. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So has not answered roll call. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So has not answered roll call. Honorable Odo So. Honorable Odo So. Honorable Odo So has not answered roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. has not answered roll call. Honorable Edison Juanica. Honorable Edison Juanica has answered roll call and is present in the chamber. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie has not answered roll call. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair is present.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair has answered roll call. Going back up, Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay has not answered roll call. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown is present.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown has answered roll call. Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati. Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati.
Delegate Amber Kanaz-Bakrati is present. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati has answered roll call. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. has not answered roll call.
Present here.
Honorable
Herman Daniel.
Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. has answered roll call. Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland has not answered roll call. Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Jamie Henio has not answered roll call. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James, present.
Honorable Vince James has answered roll call. Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Carl Slater has not answered roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So has not answered roll call. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So has not answered roll call. Honorable Eugene So.
What's the state? Oh, yeah, thank you.
Honorable Eugene So has answered roll call. Honorable Odo So. Honorable Odo So. Honorable Odo So has not answered roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
I'm present.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. has answered roll call. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie has not answered roll call. With that, Honorable Speaker, you have 16 who have answered roll call and 8 delegates who did not answer roll call, Mr. Speaker.
Well, thank you very much. That, colleagues, we have 16 members who have answered roll call. That, thank you very much, colleagues, for being on the line with us this morning and into this afternoon. I guess it would be about mid-morning right now. A good afternoon to everyone listening in, Mr. President, Vice President, Madam Chief Justice, you and your team members there, the judicial branch, all the Navajo Nation employees. Thank you very much to everybody listening inside the four sacred mountains outside. Good morning. With this, colleagues, we're going down to invocation. I know that we do usually have an invocation, but this morning we had an invocation at the Health, Education, and Human Services Committee meeting done by Honorable Charlene So. So thank you very much, Honorable Charlene So, for doing that invocation for us this morning. And thank you for blessing the day and blessing this meeting for that. So with that, colleagues, let's go ahead and move on down on our agenda. We have item number 2 on our agenda, which is recognizing guests and visiting officials. With that, colleagues, are there any recognitions at this time? I don't have anybody in the queue or
Speaker.
lined up. Yes.
Speaker, this is Delegate So. Just FYI, I'm on the line for roll call. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Honorable Otto. So with that, colleagues, any other comments, questions right now at this time? Or actually recognizing guests and visiting officials, excuse me. Went twice. Went 3 times. Thank you. With that, let me go ahead and move it on down. Item number 3. This is actually, if you're listening into us for the last 3 days, we were working on the strategic sessions on the Naabik'íyáti committee work sessions regarding the new American Recovery Rescue Plan and for 2021. Now, in this, we took a break, but we were still working together in a work session today. And we've changed direction, changed topics. We're actually introducing the purpose and works of this work session. It's actually in regards to the state of Arizona's gaming compact and their amendments that's been presented, and that has been led the charge for almost the past 4 years right now, working together in the 23rd Navajo Nation Council and moving into the 24th Navajo Nation Council. In this, when the 24th Navajo Nation Council went into effect, Madam Chair Charles Newton was elected as the chairwoman of the gaming subcommittee, and in that, her and her subcommittee have led the charge in negotiating, working together with all the other tribes in the state of Arizona and with the governor's office to identify and work out the new amendments that are in the new agreement that's been slated to be a part of the future discussions over the next couple of weeks. In this, there has to be an adoption of the gaming compact, not only by our tribe and our nation, but also by all the other Native American tribes that are within the state of Arizona as well. So with that, we are here to discuss the legislation that was dropped a little over a week ago, and that's legislation 0064-21. It's an action related to RDC, Naabik'íyáti Committee, and the Navajo Nation Council approving and adopting the Navajo Nation State of the Arizona, amending and restating the gaming compact. It's, I guess, the whole goal of it is the 2021 Arizona Compact amendments as stated before, but this is related to the appendices that we'll be going over, to the transfer pool agreements, the MOUs or memorandum of understandings with other tribal governments that will be explained here today. I do have Madam Chair Charles Newton on the line, her and her agents who will be going over the presentation. And then from that, we'll go ahead and go into questions and discussions. And then there's other further recommendations. But the reason for this whole work session is to make sure that if there's any questions we need to weed out today or any dialogue that needs to be understated and understandable to each and every one of the members of the council, that we're here to ask. So if there's any other further discussion items that will be taken or action items, those action items can actually be discussed tomorrow at the Naabik'íyáti Committee session, regular, actually special session. This Navajo Nation legislation 0064-21 was actually adopted and heard into the record yesterday morning by the Resource and Development Committee. It has passed there. It will be on the Navajo Nation Council's Naabik'íyáti Committee meeting tomorrow, and we do have enough signatures for this legislation to go through the process on Saturday. How many? There's 15 signatures for the special council session that will be going through. So this legislation will be heard at the Navajo Nation Council session on Friday if it passes tomorrow at the Naabik'íyáti Committee. So without further ado, let me go ahead and turn it over to Madam Chair Charles Newton. And Madam Chair, you have the floor. You and your agents and members of the other members of the subcommittee as well. So thank you very much. And without further ado, Madam Chair, floor is yours.
Thank you, Speaker and colleagues. I hope that you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you for providing a summary of 0064-21. As you have already stated, RDC did hear this legislation yesterday, and it is slated to come before Naabik'íyáti tomorrow and then special council on Saturday. The purpose of this work session is to hopefully answer all of the questions that delegates have regarding the compact. As you know, Speaker, and also colleagues, is the compact actually is it's somewhat of a contract between Arizona and the Navajo Nation. Any tribe that takes part in gaming is required under the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act to have this compact in place. So it is a requirement. Whether a tribe is engaged in actual gaming, meaning they have a casino, or it also applies to any tribe that has transfer pool agreements, which is, I guess, in essence, when the tribe gets a certain number of machines, they rent it out to other tribes in their casino, so that it'll kind of, I guess, make the casino a little bit bigger. And from those machines, the money is captured and it's given back to the tribe, just kind of an essence of what we are talking about with machine transfer agreements. So again, this compact is required to be in place. The compact is set to expire in 5 years. We have started the negotiation process for several reasons. However, because we are still in the process of negotiating, we cannot share what the negotiation strategies are at this point. We know that this meeting is being aired on the World Wide Web, and there are people who are listening in. So we have to be very careful in the way that this contract or this compact is being, the information that is being shared during this time. Again, however, the purpose of this work session is to allow delegates to ask questions about the compact after a presentation is given by Steve Hart and also Francis Schoberg from Lewis and Roca. Lewis and Roca has been leading their consultants of the Navajo Nation assisting with the compact. The gaming subcommittee is a part of the Naabik'íyáti committee, and there were 8 members from the Naabik'íyáti committee who were selected to be charged with being on the gaming subcommittee. And so of that, I am the chair. Vice Chair Jimmy Yellowhair was selected, obviously, as the vice chair. I just now talked about his title. In 2019, we did start the negotiations for the gaming compact. And just to be clear, colleagues, we did meet with 19 tribal leaders for several weeks. I believe Speaker Damon was a part of those conversations for maybe a couple of those weeks, and it was being led by Vice President Leiser. So the Office of the President and Vice President was also involved in the negotiations of this compact. And so, again, in 2019, we did start the meetings, and we were meeting monthly, all the way in 2019. And in the month between July and December, we were pretty much meeting weekly to try to get this compact moving. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit in 2020 and everything seemed to pause at that point. The compact was one that did pause, and everybody was focused on combating COVID-19. And so we just recently picked up discussing the compact again. So that's kind of the highlight. I know that there will be some questions regarding the compact, and I'll be very clear. Some questions can be answered in public, and some questions will require us to go into executive session, Speaker. And again, the reason for this is the negotiation strategies that the Navajo Nation has laid out, in addition to some of the terms of the compact that have not been, that haven't been released or discussed to anybody outside of the tribal leaders who were involved in the negotiation of the compact. So I just want to make that very clear. And again, the work session is to provide an opportunity for delegates to ask questions about the compact, for us to share information about what has been happening, not only in 2019, but leading up to the current version of the compact as we see it today. So I know that I do have 3 agents on the line with me today. Steve Hart from Lewis and Roca, Francis Schoberg from Lewis and Roca, and I'm also going to recognize Brian Parrish also as an agent. In the event, there will be specific questions regarding how the compact will affect our current gaming industry here on the Navajo Nation. So with that, Speaker, I am going to go ahead and recognize my agents at this time and let them chime in to share some information before we start getting questions from my colleagues. Thank you, Speaker. Steve.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Mr. Speaker, members of Nabi
A
Committee.
question of privilege, Speaker. This is Delegate Crotty.
Yes. And
Thank you, Speaker.
yes, Madam Chair, Amber Crotty, question privilege?
Yes, thank you, Speaker. I appreciate that. I'd like to request clarification from our Legislative Council. The Navajo Nation Gaming Compact is between the Navajo Nation and the state of Arizona. Are we, my expectation is that we're going to get a presentation from our Navajo Nation Department of Justice or possibly our Legislative Council. This is an enterprise and their lawyers and their attorneys. If I could get a clarification, Speaker. I did attend the last leadership update regarding this issue, and so I'd like to make sure I'm clear in terms of how we're moving forward. Thank you, Speaker.
Let me turn it over to Ms. Barbara for that question.
Good morning. This is Chief Legislative Counsel. Since its inception, and let me back up a touch. The compact is between the Navajo Nation and the state of Arizona. It is not between the enterprise and the state. But as far as the enterprise and their attorneys have been basically instrumental, if not absolutely key, in providing guidance to the gaming subcommittee. The Department of Justice has been quite involved with the subcommittee. So I believe that, and all of the presentations that will be done this morning have been reviewed by the Office of Legislative Counsel. So I'm very comfortable with what they're going to present. I'm on the line. If there's anything that I think is different, I will bring that up, as will the Department of Justice. But from a resource standpoint and an expertise standpoint, it was just much more efficient to have the resources of the gaming enterprises, attorneys and consultants assist with the negotiations. Thank you, Speaker. I hope that answered Delegate Crotty's question.
Thank you very much. That. Go ahead and go back to the floor.
Speaker Damon, this is Delegate Crotty.
Yes, Madam Chair, Amber Crotty.
Thank you, Speaker. So the understanding is the enterprise will provide information. My concern, Speaker, is in the Navajo Nation leadership meeting that we attended, there was a concern regarding this compact and the difference of opinion from the Lewis Roca attorneys on the possible impact of the nation. And so I think that is the part that I would like to ask our Legislative Council or DOJ, where are we in terms of that section that was raised as a concern regarding the interpretation and a recent Supreme Court opinion. Thank you, Speaker.
Turn it back over to Ms. Barbara.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Department of Justice and Office of Legislative Counsel have had a slight difference of opinion with the gaming enterprise's attorneys on the risk on a certain provision, but the way the legislation is drafted, and it was drafted by the Office of Legislative Counsel, we have resolved such, and we're very comfortable with how it's written and who it is assigned to. I would be more comfortable if we discuss that difference in executive session. Thank you, Madam Chair, or thank you, Chair and Madam Crotty.
Thank you very much. And that is something that can happen, I guess, then in executive session. That, colleagues, let me go ahead and go back to the
Speaker,
floor.
this is Delegate Crotty.
Yes, Madam Chair, Amber Crotty.
Thank you, Speaker. Can you let me know when that executive session is scheduled? My concern is if that is an issue that's been raised by our Navajo Nation Department of Justice. I'm just not sure then when I receive this presentation, how Lewis and Roca are set to either explain or change some of the wording to reflect the concerns that were raised. Thank you, Speaker.
Madam Chair, Amber Crotty, at any point during this presentation, it's the will of any colleague to go into executive session. And if you want to go into executive session to discuss that item first, that's option that you have an opportunity to do. Raise that point, but we just have to vote on that decision and go into that decision. That executive session on any of this issues or anything regarding to legislation 0064-21, I think it was explained by Madam Chair Charles Newton that at any point there could be an executive session today. So if there's an executive session that's going to happen, it's going to happen today. Madam Chair, Amber Crotty.
Speaker Damon, the next question is, can we just get an update from our Navajo Department of Justice on, I'll just rely, when should we have that conversation? I'm not sure how many, I can't recall how many delegates were on that call, but it is an issue regarding the compact. And so if they need time to organize and have that conversation, I could just defer to them and Dana when we could schedule that time for Navajo leadership. Thank you, Speaker.
That, Ms. Barbara, with the explanation, and I'm not too sure, I don't think I was on that leadership call, so I can't testify to say how long that discussion might be. And if we do have Department of Justice on the line to explain that, is that something that could be relatively done today in executive session when we do go into executive session to explain that? Or is that something that we would have to do externally to set up a meeting in the future? Well, and that meeting in the future would have to happen immediately.
Wait. Hello, this is Dana.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm fighting with my mute button. Speaker, that conversation, certainly my office, and I believe that the Department of Justice is also prepared to talk about that at any time, and today, sometime today or right now would be fine. As I said, the legislation was drafted and assigned in such a way to resolve that issue. So we're ready to talk about it at any point in time.
Great.
Thank you, Speaker.
Okay. So
Mr.
there's
Speaker.
there's a recommendation to talk about that now. You're more than welcome. That, let me go back to the floor. Yes, there's no
Speaker,
discussion.
this is Delegate
Madam Chair.
Charles Newton.
Floor is yours.
Thank you, Speaker. We can call DOJ. They have been involved throughout this whole negotiation. They have been involved in the conversations, and they have been working with Dana as well. So if we need to call upon DOJ as an agent, I'm happy to do that as well. We did have a short conversation during our gaming subcommittee about this issue, so I'm comfortable with calling DOJ as well. Catherine Balzowski is the person who has been leading on behalf of DOJ. Thank you, Speaker.
Ms. Bolowski, are you on the line?
Yes, good morning, Speaker. I'm on the line.
Okay. Are you comfortable going to executive session at this time, Ms. Bolowski, to discuss this matter before we go into the presentation that's going to be provided by Lewis and Roca?
Yes, Speaker, that's fine if that's how council wants to proceed.
Okay. That, colleagues, Madam Chair, Amber Crowdy, is that the wish?
Speaker, if we can go into the executive session, and hearing that you were not on that meeting, Speaker, I just would like the delegates to be informed, and I think that'd be helpful if we need to make any future amendments. So I'll make the motion. Thank you, Speaker.
Well, how long, Madam Chair? No longer than an hour.
I would say no longer than an hour.
No longer than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
No longer than an hour. So if we come back earlier than an hour, we will still be in recess until an hour. So at this time, there's a motion to go into executive session at 11:38. Well, let's just say 11:40, and coming back out at 12:40. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Speaker. This is Delegate Charles Newton.
Second by Madam Chair Charles Newton. That, colleagues, going to executive session at 11:40. Vote.
Speaker, this is Delegate Charles Newton. I just need clarification. When we go into executive session, can you tell me who is going to be in executive session for this meeting?
It would be Department of Justice, Legislative Council, and the delegates, all 24 Navajo Nation Council delegates. I'm not too sure if Ms. Barbroff or Ms. Bolowski, is this an internal discussion, or is Lewis and Roca welcome to that discussion?
Speaker, this is Ms. Barbroff, and I would recommend that we start it as an internal discussion. If we need Lewis and Roca, we can have them come on,
Okay.
but I don't
All right.
believe we will if we stick to the particular issue that Delegate Crotty wishes to discuss.
That's the only issue that we're going to discuss in executive session at this time. Okay. Mr. Rico is sending out the invite as a, if there is an executive session, if this is approved, Mr. Rico will send out the invite for the executive session. Thank you. That also is going to do a roll call on going into executive session, colleagues. We're no more than an hour.
Good morning, honorable members. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Key Allen Begay.
Key Allen votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton.
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Amber Crotty.
Delegate Amber Canis Balcrotty votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Crotty votes green. Honorable Herman Daniels.
I vote green.
Honorable Herman Daniels votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So.
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Daniel So.
I vote green.
Honorable Daniel So votes green. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So.
Green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker. Honorable Thomas Walker. Honorable Edison Wanika. Honorable Edison Wanika votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Thomas Walker. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Honorable Chair Damon, you have 18 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. That 18 in favor, 0 opposed. Mr. Rico, can you send out that notification on the, well, actually, it's sent out. It's not notified me. That, colleagues, if you could see your emails, information was sent out to you to get online for the executive session. Everyone else that's listening in right now, we are in executive session. We'll be coming out of executive session at 12:40 p.m. Window Rock, Navajo time. Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for being on the call with us again this afternoon. This is a Naabik'íyáti Committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council work session. Today's date is Thursday, April 8, 2021. For the record, we're coming back into session at 12:47 p.m. We did go out of this Navi session into an executive session, and that was just ended at 12:40 by a vote of 16 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting. So we are back in session here. Members of the Navajo Nation Naabik'íyáti Committee. Give it another couple more minutes, maybe a minute or two, so we get everybody logged in that was on the other line, logged back in over here. Again, good afternoon. It is afternoon at this time. If you're just joining us, we are having a work session today on, if you remember, for the last couple of days, we've been having a work session on the ARPA funds, the ARPA funds. This time we are actually having a work session on a whole different scheme topic, and that is on the state of Arizona's gaming compact. There's legislation actually dropped and sponsored by Madam Chair Charles Newton and co-sponsored by Honorable Holona. And that legislation is 0064-21. And it's a legislation that's amending the current gaming compact, Arizona Gaming Compact, with amendments related to the appendices, transfer pool agreements, memorandum of understandings with other tribal governments, and the overall big ticket item is just having that relationship moving forward with the state of Arizona. As we know, we have one gaming facility in Arizona, and that's Twin Arrows site there near Flagstaff, Arizona, in the chapter boundaries of Loop, Arizona, our Loop chapter. I think we have everybody back on now, so let me go ahead and go back to the floor. I do have Madam Chair Charles Newton. Madam Chair Charles Newton, are you there?
Speaker David, this
Yes.
is Vice Chair Smith. Question of privilege.
Yes. Vice Chair Smith, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Speaker, the Naabik'íyáti committees, and those that are listening abroad. My question of privilege is we're doing a work session here via telecom communication for this legislation 006421. My question of privilege, what is the urgency to have this on a council session on a Saturday? Spring session is coming up. Couldn't we entertain this during spring session? That's my question of privilege. Thank you.
Vice Chair Smith, I think in the presentation, you'll probably see that urgency that's going before, and that urgency will probably be recognized in the presentation. But that Honorable Vice Chair Smith, if you remember, anybody at any point, any of our colleagues, members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council have that right to request a special session. And it's actually up to the body of the council to decide to see if they want to do that. And in this case, there are 15 signatures to have that legislation heard this Saturday. So if there was any specific discussion, even if there wasn't an urgent need for this, there was a petition out there, and it seems like there's more than almost 2/3 of the Navajo Nation Council want to act on this legislation. So, but I think that there will be further discussion and recognition to your question in the presentation, Honorable Vice Chair Smith. Okay, with that, Madam Chair Charles Newton, you back on the line? Honorable Helona, you on the line? Honorable Helona or Madam Chair Charles Newton? Madam Chair Charles Newton, are you there? Honorable Helona, are you there as a co-sponsor?
All right, we're not needed anymore.
Mr. Speaker, I guess.
Madam Chair Charles Newton.
Can you push *6 or request to unmute?
I can hear somebody speaking from
Yes.
Lewis and Roca, but I need to have Madam Chair Charles Newton or Honorable Helona on the line.
Speaker, it's Helona. Can you hear me?
Yes, Honorable Helona.
I got dropped off a couple of times already, so I'm back on.
Almost called the whole work session, Honorable Helona. Madam Chair Charles Newton or Honorable Helona need to stay on the line. If you're not on the line, then I need to sponsor the legislation to be on the line, or else I'll call this work session.
I understand.
Honorable
I'm on the line.
We were in your presentation. What is the will? Honorable Helona?
I'm sorry, you broke off, cut out there, Speaker.
Honorable Helona, what is your will? We were on your presentation before we went into executive session.
Okay, thank you, Speaker, and my colleagues on the 24th Navajo Nation Council, Naabik'íyáti. I'd like to go to back to the presentation on the contract with Lease and Roca.
That Lease and Roca, led by Mr. Steve Hart, the floor is yours.
Not on?
No.
No, you are. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you, Delegate Helona and the other delegates from Navi. We have some information that we're going to begin with. We anticipate that we may find ourselves in a position where executive session will be important. But let's just start going with what we have. First, I wanted to, building off of the chairwoman's comments, because Native American tribes are sovereign, states do not have jurisdiction to regulate gambling on a tribe's Indian lands unless federal law provides for it. The United States Supreme Court affirmed this principle in Cabazon, in California v. Cabazon, 1987. Then in 1988, Congress passed the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, which established a framework to regulate Indian gaming. The purpose of IGRA was to provide a statutory basis to promote tribal economic development, self-sufficiency, and strong government. Another purpose was to protect tribal gaming from organized crime, make sure that tribes were the primary beneficiaries, and assure that gaming was conducted fairly and honestly. The IGRA gaming framework requires tribal and state governments to negotiate compacts in good faith for Class 3 gaming, casino gaming, on Indian lands. Tribes cannot operate Class 3 gaming without a tribal state gaming compact, except in very limited circumstances where there is a failure to act in good faith. Once a gaming compact has been negotiated, it's submitted to the Department of Interior, and the Secretary of Interior, normally acting through the Bureau of Indian Affairs, has 45 days to approve or disapprove the compact. This is not the nation's first rodeo in this. There was an earlier compact in 2002 with Arizona. And there was also a compact more recently in New Mexico in May of 2015. With regard to the current compact that the nation has with Arizona, that's 2003 Arizona Gaming Compact. Some of you may remember the big voter initiative that went across the state on this. Ultimately, the state of Arizona acquired the power to enter the compact, and then it was approved by the Navajo Nation Council, and that approval came through the Intergovernmental Relations Committee. In 2008 and 2009, the Arizona tribes and the state negotiated and entered into a compact or amendments to the compact, which provided for, among other things, the transfer of gaming devices. It was actually a pool that we used. So there were more than just 2 tribes in a contractual agreement. There were 4 tribes involved in all the Navajo Nation who acted as the transferor, and then Gila River and TON and Fort McDowell, which leased or acted as a transferee of those transfer pools. The important thing about those transfer pools for us at that point and the amendment in 2009 was that it made it clear that the nation could not lose any facility rights, any gaming facility rights as part of going through that transfer process. If we had just done a simple transfer agreement, we would have lost 2 facilities. As matters now stand, we have a total of 4 facilities, only one of which is built at this point. So there's the opportunity to build 3 more facilities in Arizona. The compact, this particular compact, really got going, as the chairwoman said, in 2019. But it started technically back in October of 2016. And for the first couple of years, it went a little slower. But the nation's decision to enter was based on, this is a quote, the need for a longer term of the gaming compact, increase in the scope of gaming, and streamlining the regulatory processes are necessary and serve the best interest of the Navajo Nation. We now find ourselves in a position where we've been negotiating for some 4, almost 5 years. And we started very early in the process the gaming subcommittee, who of course is assigned by the Nabi committee to monitor these negotiations and address any related issues that might affect the tribe's gaming. Early in the process, the gaming subcommittee identified what it believed to be the major priorities for the negotiation. And those were to extend the compact to create certainty for development and operations. Extending the compact, to talk about that as being duration. And having a long duration means that you can operate gaming for a longer period of time, greater amortization schedules. Also, they identified protecting tribal exclusivity. Tribal exclusivity has been critical for Indian tribes in the process of gaming compacts because it's a contractual provision that we are allowed to put into the gaming compact itself that says if the state will give us exclusive rights, so there's no commercial gaming, then we'll be willing to pay X percent of gross gaming revenue. The tribe is not paying a tax to the state government. That's illegal under IGRA, and that's not what this provision does. This provision allows for a contractual negotiated amount. And it's been passed over by the Ninth Circuit Rincon case. An additional priority.
Unmuted. Someone has their microphone.
One second.
It's not us here.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. For a moment, we had a brief hiccup, but I'll get ahead and continue. And then another priority was to provide for this full scope of gaming. Full scope of gaming means all the games that you see in Las Vegas. The compact itself was limited. The 2002 compact, 2003 compact in Arizona was essentially limited.
Steve? Anybody from Lewis and Roca on the line still? Text Steve. Text Honorable Helona. Honorable Helona, you still on the line? Are we still on? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still here, Speaker.
Speaker, this is Delegate Charles Newton. I can hear you.
This is Lewis and Roca. Can you hear us?
Yes. Shorebird. I hear you now.
You
We
can
lost
hear us?
you.
Okay. Our conference room was disconnected from the call. My monitor is still up, so Steve will continue.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so we were talking about sports betting. I'm sorry for that technological problem for a moment, but we're back up. Sports betting then, starting in May of 2018, was something that every gambling world is very interested in. And there have been a number of different efforts. Bills have been run in the Arizona legislature and across the country. And so this was something that we felt was part of the full scope of gaming, since Nevada is able to operate sports betting, being one of those tribes that was grandfathered in. We were also told that one of the priorities would be to protect the revenue that was being received from the transfer pool agreements. The transfer pool agreements, I think we talked about those a little bit earlier, or the chairwoman did. Basically, this is something that allows, every tribe has so many gaming device operating rights, and a tribe can, if a tribe wants to, can transfer those to another tribe, and we did that back in 2009. And that revenue was important. It was during that period of time, under the initial compact, the 2002 compact, and when we entered into that pooling agreement, it provided for a total of approximately $125 million, not at one time, but over time. Increased bet limits. Bet limits in Arizona were very, very low. $5 for a slot machine. This is another issue that impacts competition with Las Vegas and Nevada generally. The committee also wanted, the subcommittee wanted to make sure that we took a hard look at revenue sharing payments and did not allow the revenue sharing payments to the state to increase. Finally, there's concern about protecting investments of Navajo gaming. We talked a little bit today about Twin Arrows, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And finally, there was an effort, needed to make an effort to streamline the regulation to make it easier for the Navajo enterprises. Pardon me? Okay. And in order to provide ways for Navajo members and Navajo businesses to become more involved in the gaming industry at Navajo. So that was the list of the items. And then, if I might, Mr. Speaker, I was hoping that Frances could carry some of this with me. And she's crafted a number of these provisions in this PowerPoint. And Frances, I was hoping you could talk about the Navajo leadership involvement and then the summary of the recommendations of the gaming subcommittee.
Certainly. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, honorable members of the Naabik'íyáti committee. We're honored and humbled to be before you today. And I'm here in the Lewis Roper conference room with my colleague, Steve Hart, who you just heard from. We also have Rory Dilwig, who is counsel for the Navajo Nation Gaming Regulatory Office, who has also been involved in the compact negotiations representing regulatory. As Steve mentioned, the Navajo leadership has been involved in the current compact negotiations throughout the process, initially with the 23rd Navajo Nation Council and the gaming subcommittee that was established under the 23rd Council. And then beginning in 2019 with the 24th Navajo Nation Council, led by Chairwoman Charles Newton, who I understand is back on the work session now. Thank you, Chairwoman, for notifying us, and we're glad you're back. Based on the direction of the gaming subcommittee, we went through negotiations with the governor's office, council, and other tribes, but not without significant presence and involvement from Navajo Nation leadership. Chairwoman Charles Newton, Vice Chair Yellowhair, all of the members together with the speaker, Navajo Nation president, and vice president, who was very involved, met with state and tribal leaders throughout the process to guide negotiations and to promote Navajo goals, including meetings with Arizona Governor Ducey to develop shared goals and identify divergent goals between the tribes and the state, and to promote Navajo positions. Leadership also met with all of the negotiating tribes. 19 tribes through much of the negotiation, and ultimately 21 tribes at the negotiating table. All of the tribes except for Yavapai Prescott were at the negotiating table to develop consensus positions and to respond to the state's proposals, including breakout sessions with tribal leaders from individual tribes. Navajo leadership met and led meetings with other rural and transferring tribes to develop consensus positions and to negotiate with the metro tribes and the Arizona governor. This was a complex multi-party negotiation, and it wasn't simply the tribes negotiating with the state. There was a lot of negotiation happening on the tribal side before the tribes came to consensus positions to negotiate with the state. And significant and meaningful meetings also with Tohono O'odham Nation leadership and Yavapai Apache Nation leadership. These meetings were critical to promote the Navajo Nation priorities and to establish the framework for the 2021 Arizona Compact Amendments. They guided us in our negotiations in the nuts and bolts of the processes. So Steve walked through the priorities. I've got them posted for those of you who are looking at the web or looking at your public PowerPoint on page 6. Those were the priorities set by the gaming subcommittee, which we used to guide us through negotiations. And turning now to page 7 of the public presentation, based on the votes of the gaming subcommittee and the direction that we received from them, we believe that the compact priorities have been addressed to the satisfaction of the gaming subcommittee. We note that there will be, we anticipate a proposal for an amendment or a motion for an amendment. That would be an amendment for a couple of technical matters. The governor's office, as is clear from the state legislation and media relating to the compact negotiation, is working with the Arizona legislature to enact HB 2772 or a similar law in the Arizona Senate that is a part of the overall compact deal. And
sorry about that reverberation. Members of the Naabik'íyáti committee, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Give me one moment.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. I've got to turn off my microphone and my audio because our conference room has turned back on. Okay, thank you for your patience. Returning to where I was, we anticipate that there will be an amendment for technical changes. One of the changes relates to this state legislation that's being moved forward as part of the compact deal. And the state legislation has been subject to some technical amendments. Those were considered last Saturday by the gaming subcommittee and approved. So in the form of compact that that is attached as an exhibit to the legislation, there was a motion and approval by the gaming subcommittee to recommend swapping out the form of legislation in that compact as Appendix A to the compact. And another change, small change to Section 3H of the compact. These are changes that have been considered by all of the tribes and determined by the tribal representatives that they are acceptable changes. The gaming subcommittee also made that determination. And so we'll be anticipating an amendment to the legislation to cover those two modifications to the form of compact that's approved by the Navajo Nation Council. And then with respect to Exhibit D, which references HB 2772, the 2021 Arizona Gaming Act, the state legislation, recognizing that there may be some slight technical amendments that occur, and acknowledging that there is a very limited form that is of that bill that is acceptable to the tribes. We're noting that Exhibit D will be referenced in the legislation in a form not inconsistent with the terms of the 2021 Arizona Gaming Compact. So that's just a preview that there may be an amendment coming down the road to the legislation that has been contemplated by the gaming subcommittee. I believe Ms. Bobroff may be on the line and can answer further questions. We're covering the preview of that amendment at her request. So the gaming subcommittee, through their votes, has recommended to the Naabik'íyáti committee approval of the following documents as set forth in legislation 006421. The Navajo Nation State of Arizona amended and restated gaming compact, the amended and restated memorandum of understanding and cooperation between the Navajo Nation and Yavapai Apache Nation, the 2021 Arizona Gaming Compact regulatory appendices and poker memorandum of understanding, the amendment to gaming device operating rights transfer pool agreements between the Navajo Nation and 3 different tribes, the Tohono O'odham Nation, Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation, and Gila River Indian Community. At this point in the presentation, I believe that we have shared what we can without going into confidential negotiation information. And so I will now turn this the meeting back to the sponsor and note that we are ready to go into further detail if the committee goes into executive session. We'd like to note that the negotiated documents, as the chairwoman, Charles Newton, mentioned, are still negotiation documents until the compact is final and effective. They involved not only positions of the Navajo Nation, but positions of other tribes that are not appropriate to be disclosed publicly at this time. We do note, however, that the 2021 Arizona Compact amendments will become public when they are published in the Federal Register and approved by the Secretary of the Department of the Interior. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis, and thank you very much, Steve, everybody else from your team on the line. With that, colleagues, I don't have anybody in the queue at this moment. Is there any comments, questions? Or Madam Chair Charles Lewin, let me ask you this. Does that conclude your presentation? Or Honorable Helona?
Speaker?
Can you hear me?
Speaker, this is Delegate.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
This is Delegate Charles Newton. Yes, it does
Yes.
include our presentation, Speaker.
Okay, thank you. That, let me go to the floor. Honorable Elmer Begay. Floor is yours.
Speaker, I'm just calling in again. So I'm back online. Let you know.
Colleagues, any comments, questions?
Speaker, this is Delegate Carter. Speaker.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Floor is yours.
Speaker Kellen, I was muted.
Wakil Miguel, we'll put you in the queue. Madam Chair, Amber Crotty, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Speaker. I appreciate the sponsors of the legislation for providing this work session to council and the overview and PowerPoint presentation. If I could just get a clear idea in terms of Lewis and Roca, are they contracted through the Navajo Nation or they're contracted through gaming? And if I could get an idea of how much this has cost either the nation or gaming to negotiate this gaming contract. And I think my concern is understanding that we still have 5 additional years. We have just gone through COVID-19 and I don't know how many times gaming has come to the nation for funding. So I just need to be clear, Speaker, in terms of how much this has cost. And if there could have been, or if there was any pause. I heard that there was a pause in the gaming negotiation. I'm just trying to understand how we kept moving along with the gaming conversations when we were trying to stop the spread of COVID here on the nation. I think that'll help me just situate where we're at and why we're going to have NABI tomorrow and then a special council session on Saturday to go over this gaming contract. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. With that, let me go back to the presenter, Madam Chair Charles Zoon.
Speaker, so at this point, I think there are 2 questions that I'm going to say are being asked. One of those questions we would have to go into executive session for because we are talking about negotiation strategies. So if we could go into executive session for that. For the second question regarding what is it going to cost the nation or what did it cost the nation to negotiate this compact? I'll leave that to Dana and Lewis and Roca on how how they want to proceed with answering that question, Speaker.
Okay, thank you. That, Mr. Roca.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, audio's still here. This is working.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
With regard to the fee issue, I'd like to think that our fees are reasonable, but I think the important thing here is that we would need to consult with the NNGE on that issue and provide the information after consultation.
Okay.
With regard to the other question from Delegate Amber Crotty, a very good question. I think it would be best to discuss in executive session our strategies as it pertains to the negotiations and why it is that we think it's important to get to a conclusion now with this compact.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll go back to the floor. Madam Chair, McCartney.
Thank you, Speaker. So I understand the executive session. So if that could be answered, and it sounds like I need to ask the question to the interim CEO, Mr. Parrish, and I'm not sure if their board president is on the line. Mr. Is it Nate? If I could get some understanding. So my concern, I don't need an exact amount. I need to know a rough or your best guess answer. And I need to know where that funding came from, as the Navajo Nation Council has appropriated dollars within the last year to gaming. Thank you, Speaker.
That, Mr. Parrish, are you on the line?
Mr. Speaker, yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes.
Thank
Can
you.
you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Mr. Speaker, if I may, I'd be pleased to respond to Madam Chair Crotty's question.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Madam Chair, thank you so much for your questions on this. The CARES money that we received, as well as the Paycheck Protection Program monies, there are budget forms that detail exactly where those monies were expended. The Paycheck Protection Program monies were all in the area of payroll and benefits. The CARES Act monies went to also covering payroll and benefits, but also costs of our healthcare plan. We incurred $1.6 million just in COVID-related medical claims for our team members and their families last year. So those monies went to cover that. It also went to cover all of the monies that we spent on our workplace safety plan, all the equipment, the sanitization, personal protective items, all of those things. So it went into purchasing there as well. Some of that money was utilized for our subordinate debt service payments to NTUA and the Navajo Hopi Land Commission. And then we utilized our own cash for senior note payments, and then also to cover expenses associated with Louis Roca on a number of different legal issues that they're supporting us on, one of which is the compact. So the budget money or budget documents we submitted outline specifically where the CARES money went. The services of Louis Roca were paid for out of other cash reserves from the enterprise. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for that. Moving on down, then I do have Honorable Keelan Begay in the queue. Honorable Keelan Begay.
Speaker, this is Delegate.
Hello?
Speaker, can you hear me?
Yes.
Could you call me or Charles Noon?
Honorable Keelan Begay, Madam Chair Charles Noon, Honorable Keelan Begay has the floor. Were you going to respond again, or?
It wasn't a response. It was just a question of how you would like to handle the second question that was posed by Delegate Crotty.
Well, Madam Chair Charles Newton, if there's anybody that goes into executive session, someone would have to motion to that, and right now no one has motioned, so that's the reason why I continued on the platform for Honorable Keelan Begay and anybody else in the queue, and maybe they might motion.
Speaker.
Hello, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, that Honorable Keelan Begay, floor is yours.
Speaker, Nando le kudosa na ho agi. It's always fun and dandy talking about compact that never involves with the employees and the surrounding. I guess that's the norm. But along this progress agreement, casinos, Navajo Nation, Naabik'íyáti, especially the Twin Arrow, especially our Navajo employees traveling back and forth daily ashon da bitna aliyashito beso da bana is nilota so o at da shinata itla gas and so on. Akoko, I've been asking this to the commissioners, to the gaming office, that how much are they improving in helping our staff getting housing in the vicinity? Can we hold back a certain amount of funding to continue to develop our casinos? There is always that the casino operation just take up the amount, and then there's nothing left for development. Out of the state level, governor credit up Liniki agent that Nishiki, Hawanda Bandai next. Other out with option could not attend has taken Nishiko. Give us 2 years or 3 years, those would take a ghost. A horse is that possible? Otherwise, once we agree with the agreement of the gaming compact, I know this deals with the rest of the tribes across the state of Arizona. I mean, what more can we do to help our Navajo employees and non-Navajo that works at the casino? The good thing is that they have now have a gas station. But for people to live in the nearby, other development. Because I know all of our employees at the lower echelon, it's not much an impact of the management, because I'm sure they're raking in money. But otherwise, our employees, the staff, the janitor, the dishwasher, I mean, they're just making ends meet, and maybe that's the reason why we have a lot of turnover at these Navajo casinos. And what is the overall plan that we're going to have certain type of development at all these casinos that the Navajo Nation is running? On the second part, Twin Arrow, public safety needs, because the requirement by each of the compact that there's got to be a public safety in the fire station. Last year or several times I've asked, when is it that these casinos build a lot of these infrastructures on their own? According to the Navajo Nation, like Mr. Vince Shane, the legislation on it needs, because there's a dire need of a fire station and public safety. No, but yet we develop a lot of these at certain area. Public safety the fire station. If that is the requirement, why isn't there? There's no management to say that this is required and that it is owned by the Navajo Nation or the casino. You guys are the Navajo Nation. You guys are responsible. Those state needs I don't hear could ask me to go to the auto bonnet Sadan hit the Nisha, Toto base of being or not me. Could there be a saving should such event had happened? Could the pandemic some reserve funding that stuff? Need social stuff on that. The Swedish peso could hit Nandy by that kid. ko ARG ki ko ko based on the arjunan to leki ki button need to honetza ko that I think that's very much more important for us to talk about. Snan ado leki arj ha da nato jol nenda nishkita to setnada yo ko ade asto Sebastian that ado da hitar da sin ko so yeken de to tafle it's an alien or the shit to ado chede da da shit to ado peso nante ko there's a lot of turnover not been yet ko ki demand in ki agitating we really need to step up and help them if we just approve this, it's just a matter that it's just the same old for our Navajo employees that work over there. Naabik'íyáti I don't let it need a day put up person na you see to list that name with the sheet but yet as Yannick could fit but the person yes or does we're just more trying to afloat a lot of our entities and enterprises while the Navajo Nation, the main individual that lives on the Navajo Nation continues to suffer. And a lot of these type of homes or roads or other infrastructures. We're really budgeting a lot of our Navajo Nation funding to go to these enterprises rather than going to the Navajo people. So how will it be effective? I know I'm just one vote of the 24 Navajo Nation Council on this particular document, but how will it really impact and how do we justify to say that with no one vote, I need to do this and that we need to do this? Speaker, that agency could all the management, the king, be being Chichakadas, the Quack, did on it, and then the agitated, Niski Banahuit, Aradi, Abahuit, Arthot, out Ego, Jondo, because it's part, I believe it's part of the agreement that should be in place. Speaker, I know this is a lengthy process that has to deal with the National Gaming Association at the national level and even at the state level. Other chapters, though, are based on gaming funds. No, there's a lot of restrictions where Navajo people continue to be limited in utilizing all these funding that goes back to the chapter. Host chapters and the sheet based on Linigi Kodo, like some host chapter that I know, the chapter is almost falling apart, but yet nearby there's a casino is running. I'd like to get a response. Sure.
Thank you for that. We go back to Madam Chair Charles Newton. Madam Chair.
Speaker, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Thank you, Speaker. Shitsueti, Delegate Kialan Bigay, thank you for the questions. I know that there are a lot of questions that are geared towards gaming. I'm very visual, so to me, it would be easier if we were all in one place and I could, kind of draw it out. But let me see if I can best describe what it is that, I guess, the questions that will be coming out. So the compact is between the Navajo Nation and the state of Arizona. And that's the state of Arizona allowing the Navajo Nation to do gaming. Or it's actually, this compact is not just the Navajo Nation, it's including all of the tribes in the state of Arizona. And so what so a part of the questions or the concerns raised by Delegate Kialan Bigay is, I guess, an internal matter that we can discuss that's dealing with gaming. And then the other part dealing with public safety and how that's a requirement in the compact does make certain requirements. So within the compact, we have to have like a regulatory office. We have to have a like a public safety facility that's nearby the casino. So there's certain requirements that the compact says that all tribes have to have. So I think when we're talking about our Navajo Nation employees and we're talking about, you know, chapters and what the, you know, where that money should go, that's an internal issue with that we can, you know, have a discussion on tonight. That is going to be, if that is going to happen, it would be led by RDC, because RDC is the oversight of gaming. Is a contract.
Madam Chair, Charles Newton, you are breaking up.
Oh, I apologize. Let me just go ahead and let me turn it over to Catherine Belzowski. Catherine or Dana, can you assist this explanation of the compact?
Catherine Spazowski.
Speaker, this is Dana.
Okay.
Thank you. As I understood Delegate Begay's questions or comments, they have to do with the distribution of gaming revenue, the gaming, gaming distribution fund or plan. And that is something that's not addressed in the compact, because as Delegate Charles Newton was stating, the distribution of the gaming revenues once they come back to the Navajo Nation through the gaming enterprise, that distribution to chapters, that is a internal matter. The nation makes a determination as to how to do that. I do believe that there may be some small federal restrictions on what those funds can be used for, but the Navajo Nation has incorporated that into the policies. As far as police officers or public safety matters, some of that is addressed in the compact. It's actually, I think it's section 13, and that really speaks to the Navajo Nation having at least one officer who is Arizona, I guess, post-certified and is available for instances, for criminal instances and such at the casino. It also requires that the tribe implement a law enforcement services plan that I'm actually reading from section 13E that states the tribe shall implement a written law enforcement services plan that provides a comprehensive and effective means to address criminal and undesirable activity at gaming facilities. So those are, I think, what Delegate Begay was asking. If I missed something, I defer to Ms. Belowski. Thank you.
This is Catherine. Nothing to add to what Dana has stated.
Hey, thank you, Ms. Belowski. That move on down. I do have. Hello? Hello?
Speaker, we can hear you.
Okay, moving on down. I have Honorable Eugene So in the queue. Honorable Eugene So.
Chiche, question.
Yes, go ahead.
Regards to this compact agreement with the state that does known I guess that's what's the issue here. Now, I asked a question during the executive session, and it was important of the sovereignty. That was the percentage of the dollars from the casino that the state is requesting for. Regards to Class 3 gaming, the revenue. How much are they requesting for? That was my question. I don't. In exchange, yes, we'll have Class 3 gaming in exchange. I want some of your money. Is that the issue here? And I would like to understand more about the meaningful concession to my advisors here. And further, this approval of the Interior, Department of Interior. I think, would it be wise to ask the Interior, since we got indigenous people in there, to revisit that act, Indian gaming, regards to these state compact agreements? That way, maybe we can lower the percentage that they're requesting for. Since we have the ball in our side, pretty sure we should start talking about that with the Interior Secretary. So it's something that's in the master. And the third one is in regards to what Key Ellen was referring to about these houses, etc. What are our plans with that, with the money coming from the casino? Is also like me. I'm not very a mature person. Don't know how to use this and that. I don't know when the limit is for me to get off the chair or get off the stool. There needs to be some benefits for those addiction that needs to be considered too. How we can have some rehab money. This kind of an agreement. So that's my question, Speaker Chiche. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go back to Madam Chair, Charles Newton.
Shahjad, thank you for asking that question. So just really quickly, the compact, the compact deals with the law, the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. The Congress passed that law, the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, and they made it mandatory that if a tribe is going to be looking at doing gaming, or even if they don't have a casino, if they have machines that they can transfer to different tribes, they have to enter into this compact. It's a requirement by the federal government. It was a long-standing issue, and so the compact is between the Navajo Nation and the state of Arizona. And it's the Navajo Nation saying, state of Arizona, we want to...
Order, Speaker.
Point of order, Honorable Eugene So. What is your point of order?
My order is...
Sorry, Madam Chair, if you could hold on real quick.
I'm requesting for a legal opinion in regards to some of these issues regarding to the rules and agreements. I can understand Eugenia. I'm not saying anything bad to her, but I would like legal opinion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, Charles Newton.
That's fine. Dana, do you want to go ahead and answer this question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The gaming compact, if the nation wishes to have class 3 gaming, the federal law does require that there be a compact negotiated with the state. After the compact is negotiated, it does go to the Department of Interior for approval. And I will reemphasize that that's the requirement for class 3 gaming. It is my understanding, and I'm certainly willing to be corrected, that the federal, that the Bureau, that the Department of Interior does not interfere with the compensation that is negotiated unless it's so unfavorable to the tribe. And I do think that Delegate So's request, now that leadership at the Department of Interior has changed, that it might not be a bad idea to start looking at advocating for changes to the Indian Gaming Regulatory Acts. And I know that there is one more question that Delegate So asked, and unfortunately, I think I may have missed it because somebody came into my office. Perhaps, Catherine, you caught that last question? Or perhaps Delegate So could restate it. I apologize for that.
Thank you, Ms. Barboff. Anything else, Ms. Belowski, to add to that?
No, Speaker. Thank you.
Okay. That, colleagues, any other further questions? I don't have anybody in the queue.
Speaker Kellen.
Honorable Keelan Gay, floor is yours, Che. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Honest Cheo. Specifically, I know what's being said is the agreement that we have to follow at the national level, Gaming Association. I guess my point, yes, a lot of these are internal. But for the my point is that we should justify it. We should have things in place, a plan in place to justify that we should have a lot of these funding be held back for development, such as housing and the operation of the O&M of the public safety is what's really, I think our own Navajo Nation is running that. Gaming Association, and all other public safety facilities that whatever is required should be operated under these particular gaming facilities. Speaker.
Okay, thank you. That, colleagues, any other comments, questions?
Speaker,
Yes.
Untitled, just for the record, I'm online, sir.
Good afternoon, Chairman.
Good afternoon, sir. Colleague?
Oh. Any further questions or comments? Tom, let me go back to Madam Chair, Charles Newton. Or Honorable Helena.
Cody?
Yeah.
Is there any problem?
Madam Chair, Charles Newton, Honorable Helena.
I'm here, Chair. I was really talking away.
Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Yeah. I want to see if I can get Steve to answer that question again for Delegate Begay. I think they're two separate issues that he's talking about. Thank you. Steve?
Start.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Delegate Helena. I think that the question, as I understand it, is shouldn't money be held back for development and public safety? And if I'm right on that, and that's the question, I respectfully suggest that Brian Parrish, who is, of course, is the CEO, would be the best person to answer that question. I can tell you that I know that coming out of this pandemic, the enterprise has, I don't know about their plans or thoughts, but they certainly understand the need for development. And also, I know from the public safety building they have next to Twin Arrows that that's an important issue for them. I know that money goes from the compact to some of the local county governments on law enforcement issues. So I think that these are issues that the enterprise sees in much the same way as Honorable Delegate Kealan Begay. But I would suggest that perhaps Brian Parrish could best give him the answers that he needs. Brian, you on?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Parrish.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hart, thank you. Honorable Kealan Begay, sir, thank you. Appreciate your questions. Relative to public safety, setting aside money and things like that, those are all excellent questions. The way the revenues are allocated by casinos is they file, as Office of Ledge Counsel was sharing, revenue allocation plans with the Department of Interior. And there's two different ways those plans can be structured. One is for per capita payments that go to individual members of the nation. And then there can be broader type of distribution plans, which is what the Navajo Nation has. And so the revenue allocation that the plan that the nation has ties back to what's called the Gaming Distribution Fund. And the gaming enterprise puts money into that gaming distribution fund every year. We've deposited $23.3 million in there so far, and those monies are available for the chapters to use for projects and things, and those monies are solely approved and distributed by Navajo Nation Council. The second way that we're receiving monies through this, and when I say we, I mean the nation, is receiving funding through this compact is through these machine lease transfer pool agreements that we have. And so currently those agreements are generating about $8 million a year in revenue for the Navajo Nation. most of those monies are going to the Navajo Gaming Regulatory Office. The Navajo Nation Gaming Enterprise used to receive about 1.9 million a year of that 8 million, but those funds stopped flowing to us about 3 years ago. So those monies have been going to NGRO and then also to the controller's office. And so NGR uses that for payroll and funding their operations. The gaming enterprise pays for all their equipment and capital and things like that. And then the balance of the monies not used go to the controller's office. In terms of public safety, there is obligations that the nation, all tribal nations must satisfy relative to these compacts. And so the concern, of course, on Navajo was response times and things because we did not have a satellite public safety building near the casino. We have been receiving, well, for the revenue sharing that we pay to the state, 88% of those monies of the revenue sharing are under the control of the governor and the state legislature to determine how they want to spend those dollars. But there's 12% of the revenue sharing that the gaming enterprise has control over the distribution of. And so what we've done over the past 3 years is we've split those monies, and it's around $135,000 a year. We split that 3 ways among Coconino County, Navajo County, and Apache County. We cannot specifically earmark that it goes to public safety. It goes into the general funds of each of those counties. But that distribution is based on Navajo population and then also support of law enforcement. When the public safety building at Twin Arrows was constructed, those were CIHSN funds that were approved for the development of that asset. And the public safety building, and my understanding is that the Department of Public Safety merged the Delcon field office with the Flagstaff or the Twin Arrows Public Safety building. And so they're utilizing that full service facility because it has retention, it has housing, it has emergency services, garages for fire trucks, and law enforcement vehicles. The gaming enterprise continues to pay $750,000 a year to Navajo Nation Department of Public Safety for law enforcement support at our properties. The majority of that is going from the Arizona side in Twin Arrows to DPS, and then Fire Rock, Northern Edge, and Flowing Water make up the other half. So that's how those monies are distributed. The Twin Arrows property does continue to perform operations and operating repairs and maintenance of the public safety building. And we have continued to do that as part of the operating agreement with the Department of Public Safety. The gaming enterprise was the project manager on the development of the public safety building, and the project was built to spec and under budget, with some dollars being returned back to the Navajo Nation. Hopefully that covers the questions and such about how the revenues are received and then how they're being utilized. If we look at the new compact, the transfer pool agreements are increasing in value. So they're at $8 million right now, but after this last 5 years on the existing compact, the final 22 years of a new agreement, it's about $10 million a year that the nation would be receiving from those transfer pool agreements. The nation has the ability to decide how you want to earmark those funds. Again, right now, the decision was that those monies go to NGRO and then a balance left over going to the controller's office. So there's an opportunity there for leadership to make some decisions and adjustments on that. National level, I think we've covered that just with the revenue allocation plans and what the Navajo Nation can cover, along with how we deal with revenue sharing. So Honorable Keelan Begay, sir, I hope that answers all of your questions, sir. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Parrish, and thank you very much for your response. With that, colleagues, is there any other further comments, questions at this time? Going twice.
Speaker Eugene.
Eugene, so go ahead. Floor is yours.
My question the last time was kind of the one I was thinking about is in the long run, like maybe tomorrow, start talking to the Interior Secretary in regards to the aiming gaming at the now across the United States, all the Indian tribes. That's what I'm saying. How we can change it, where we can work with the state more, taking more revenue from us than what they're doing right now. If we can encourage her to look into those kind of regulations, that kind of that's what I'm talking about. So I'm sure it's going to take congressional action, but we need to start looking at that, because I don't know how much Arizona is taking from us. And also, it is out in that sense, agriculture. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. That we'll go back to Madam Chair Charles Newton.
Speaker Salona.
Yes, Honorable Hona.
I think she's still indisposed at this time. I'm not really exactly sure what Delegate So was trying to ask there, but these numbers and paying for this exclusivity for the casinos, that's what really all this compact is about, so that we have we can have casinos within the Navajo, within Arizona, and not have any outside state of Arizona or any other private company encroaching on the casino business.
Lona, to conclude your response.
Yes, sir. I was wanting to see if maybe Mr. Hart could brush up a little bit on some of that revenue sharing. I think Mr. Parrish got it all, but
Hart?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
Getting all these text messages at the same time.
I want to answer this question as fully as I can, but if I got into the percentages, I think we might find ourselves in a place where we would feel that going into executive session might be the way to go. And if that is what people would like, I'm happy to do that. But let me try to answer the question without going that far, if I might. In this compact, we have reduced revenue sharing from the state by significantly more than half what it was before. You can do that if you do it in a negotiation, and the critical variables for the NIG or for the Department of Interior is there meaningful concessions that the state has made to warrant the paying of revenue sharing? And are there significant benefits that the tribe has received? And we can certainly, for Mr. Delegate So, go into more detail than that. And I champion his idea of talking to the Secretary of Interior. I think there is great opportunity there. But we were lucky enough as a law firm to represent the tribe Rincon in the case that went to the Ninth Circuit and set this standard and has been responsible for reducing revenue sharing. Not across the board. There's more places where we need to go to do this, but the process has begun. And I think that's part of why we're looking at a significant reduction in this particular compact. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hart. Thank you very much, Malona. That, colleagues, I don't have anybody else in the queue. Is there any further comments, questions at this time? Going twice. Going 3 times. Thank you very much to all the presenters here today, and thank you very much. Legislation 0061 or 64-21 will be on Naabik'íyáti committee meeting tomorrow. Meeting starts at 10 a.m. That we are at the end of our session. Are there any announcements?
Speaker, this is Delegate Charles Newton.
Yes, Madam Chair, Charles Lewin on announcements.
Speaker, I apologize. I was trying to unmute myself. My phone froze and I was stuck on mute, so I apologize. As you know, I've been having issues with my phone, so I am sorry I was going in and out. But I do want to say, Speaker, that I picked up a packet yesterday from Dana's office that has all of the documents that will be referenced at NABI and then also at Council, Speaker. So I just want to remind my colleagues of that packet that's available there. Again, I picked up mine at Dana's office. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Colleagues, any other announcements? Just to give a clear recap on legislation 0064-21, tomorrow there's a special NABI session, and then on Saturday there is a confirmed special session that starts at 10 a.m. too as well. I don't think there's any other committee meetings, right? I don't think there's any other committee meetings tomorrow or on Saturday. There's none. Time now is 2:13 p.m. Thank you very much, everyone. This work session has adjourned. Yeah. If there's any further questions, I'm sure Mr. Hart or Madam Chair, if that's okay, we could send out the information to colleagues, see if there's any individual questions that they might want to reach out to Mr. Hart or Lewis and Roca. Is that okay, Madam Chair?
Yes, of course, Speaker.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lewis and Roca staff. Thank you, everybody on the line. Have a good day.